So it's a real pleasure to be here with you today. Today, I would like to, for us to concentrate on how to overcome cycles of negative thoughts. Many of us, because of what has been happening during these last 2 years with the pandemic and with different problems politically, ecologically, economically, etc., have been or are under a state of anxiety or fear or depression or even languishing, because when one faces continuously challenges, one challenge after another, it kind of gets us a little bit tired, overwhelmed. And so in this workshop, we are going to learn how to work with this, how to overcome those states and come into a state of deep joy in spite of the challenges. So I want us to understand what are the tools that we can use when we are facing challenges that seem to overwhelm us, and then also how to cultivate this inner peace and joy. And I'm going to give you tools. We are going to practice together. They are simple, they are powerful. With presenting them to you, I'm bridging half of the way. So I'm doing 50% of what's needed for your transformation. The other 50% is what you do. It's how do you practice this? I mean, Babaji, many of you know him, the founder of Mama Donna and of a beautiful orphanage and homeschool in India and many other wonderful institutions. He always used to say the secret is regular sadhana, which means regular practice. Even if it is in little amounts, even if you just do whatever you can every day, a few minutes, 3 breaths, 5 minutes, whatever you can, but a little bit every day. So what I'm going to invite you now, as we are about to begin this journey together, you'll be pretty amazed tomorrow how far we will have gone with these 3 sessions and these 3 learning and practicing together. What I want to invite you as we begin is to set an intention of what's that you would like to get from this workshop and from your own work with a particular maybe problem or challenge that you might be facing. So again, let's for a moment set the intention, because it's important for us to remember what is one of the challenges that we are having right now, and then open ourselves to insights, intuitions, and practice that can help us get forward towards overcoming this little bit of sense of anxiety or depression or whatever it is that is happening with you right now that you would like to work with. Okay? So again, having a comfortable position, bringing our attention to our breathing, which is in itself a powerful tool to relax. And then asking ourselves, what in my life it seems to me that is standing between my sense of joy, of deeper joy, what's stopping me from enjoying more, from celebrating life. And whatever arises, it's perfect. Don't fight it, don't resist it. Also, don't resist the teaching. Just start observing what arises so that you know what is that you would like to be working with during our time together. And maybe visualize also how it would be for you if you wouldn't have the thoughts that you have about what's limiting you. How would you be without those thoughts? Just put in the universe the wish or the possibility, envisioning yourself once you have overcome this. How would you feel yourself, and how would it be? Don't worry about the bridge between your present state of worry or anxiety and your longing. How would you get there? For now, just identify one, how you are feeling, what are your troubles, your challenges, and then for a moment, just feel what could be the possibility of being filled with joy, being filled with peace or love. How would that feel in your body? And we are, during this time together, we are going to practice on this bridge and this transformation that you want to invite into your life. Okay. Doing a few deep breaths. And transitioning back to our space, our conversation today. I thought I would call this session the second arrow. And it's a concept that comes from Buddhism, but it's also present in the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, so very much in the yoga tradition and in the yoga philosophy, which of course is also very much related to Buddhism, since Buddha, the beginnings of Buddha and Buddhism are very much related also to the movements of the philosophers and practitioners that were in India at the time when he was there. So they are totally going in the same direction. And in fact, many of the ancient traditions, even in China and even in the Americas, they tend to understand the same basic principles about energy, about who we are deeply, what is our deeper essence, and what happens when we get afraid or when we get angry and when we face deep challenges. We all over the world, all of us tend to react closing up. We tend to contract. We tend to wish it wouldn't be so, that we wouldn't have to go through this. Bigger challenges, smaller challenges, our nervous setup has this tendency 5-1, and there are many studies in neuroscience about this, to go towards the negative and get stuck in the negative, because when life hits us with the first arrow, which is something is not going the way we want, instead of trying to work directly with getting that arrow out, we hit ourselves with a second arrow, thinking, no, this shouldn't be here, and I shouldn't have pain, I shouldn't have lost this dear one, I shouldn't be terminally ill, I shouldn't have to be quarantining, I shouldn't. So all this resistance hits us with more arrows. We develop more suffering because we cannot accept what's the present situation. I'm not saying that accepting the present situation means not caring. And I'm not saying that we won't do something to change things that need to be changed. But the first step always to empower ourselves, to be available to ourselves and to be available to others, is accepting what's going on, is recognizing, okay, I'm being hit with an arrow right now of this loss or this discomfort or this judging of myself, of not being able to write the book that I have been trying to write now for several years, and there are tons of pages, but still it's not born. And why is it not, or bigger things. I have among my friends and my students people that have lost dear ones during the pandemic, and they had really big challenge of how to work with that. People that are terminally ill. So it's life. What we need to understand is that life is in itself impermanent. There are always changes and there are always challenges. We would like for that not to be so. We study, we get degrees, we get money, we get marriage, we get a house. We think, okay, I have everything in place. I shouldn't suffer. Nothing. I'm trying to protect myself. But the more we think that the outer world is going to give us that security and that joy, the more vulnerable, in fact, we are, because we cannot control the outer world. We cannot control life. And if you look around, the seasons, everything, life is always changing. So our job here, since we have been born and have gone through this life that gives us beautiful opportunities, and it gives us also challenges and difficult moments and sadness. Our job is, as embodied spirit, which we are, that's our real essence, to know how to work with these circumstances and to see everything like an opportunity to keep growing. So when you have a problem and a situation, I'm going to suggest that as part of this first session, that you get maybe write down some of these self-inquiry questions. And the first is, what's going on right now, right? So what is the challenge that you're having? And then what is the resistance that I'm experiencing? And how is that making me suffer even more? So what is the first arrow, the challenge that the life is giving us? And then what is the second arrow and the third arrow and the fourth arrow that we are hitting ourselves with in the way we react? You probably know the work of Jill Bolte Taylor. Is a neuroscientist who had a stroke and was half paralyzed. And then she was able to come back to regain full capacity to move and to talk again and to write again. And she has made studies that show that when we are triggered with an emotion, there is a physiological response, a chemical response. Let's say we have a thought or a circumstance or something that makes us angry. The body immediately releases adrenaline, or releases hormones that are a natural response to that fear, to that anger. And that release of the emotion that goes through our body and then stops, this release and passes, is 90 seconds. So usually an emotion with the physiological response, according to her studies, is just 90 seconds. But we know that we are often angry for a much longer time, or anxious for a much longer time. And that's because we keep feeding the loop. So once the thing has finished, we still have thoughts of, oh, this might happen again, or why did this happen in the past, or what will happen in the future, or why did this person do this, and how it bothered me, and blah, 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 blah. And so we keep feeding the triggers. And the other discoveries that are in neuroscience is neurons that fire together bind together. And so the more we keep doing it, the more we ingrain in our body tendencies to those kinds of responses. And the bad thing is that we are shortening our life, because we only have a certain amount of breaths in our life, according to all traditions. And as we get angry and upset and all that, we are using more breath more quickly. You could say, well, I don't believe in that thing about how many breaths each one comes with. You can just look at physiology and you can know that the stress and the anger affects your liver and affects your digestion and affects your heart, your blood pressure. So put it in terms of all traditions or put it in terms of modern medicine. It's very important that we get to understand and observe what's going on. The good news is that if we know it lasts 90 seconds, once we notice it, we are triggered, we could look at our watch and wait for those 90 seconds and observe, oh, okay, I'm getting all excited and angry, but you had your intention of, I'm not going to identify with this. This is not something that I want to keep feeding. And so what you cultivate consciously or unconsciously grows. The next question in this series of self-inquiry first is what's going on, what's standing between me and the possibility of being joyful, or me and the possibility of sleeping better or being more healthy. Okay, then am I helping the situation with this reaction? Is natural. I'm not going to judge myself for having the reaction, because that would add some other, waste of energy. So you just are curious. I'm a human being. I have been triggered. I'm getting annoyed. All this is coming up, or I'm getting fearful or anxious. Okay, but I know, because science tells me that if I don't keep feeding it, it will naturally pass. So I just need to observe how it rises up and then allow it to pass and let go, let go, let go. That would be, the way of disengaging from that rat race. And so the questions are, what's going on? How is this standing between, my possibility of feeling more joy in the way that I'm reaction? Am I helping in any way the situation? For example, let's say that we are talking about COVID, okay, and that we have been quarantining, and that so we haven't been seeing our friends. Sometimes we haven't been seeing even our family, and we are social beings. So if we are always alone, maybe, some people more than others get depressed, get anxious. Maybe the children are there more time than what we were accustomed to have the children. We are trying to work and they are trying to also do their things, and we're having troubles in relationship. Whatever it is, it's totally natural. And we know we have a 5-to-1 tendency to stay with the negative. So now we are going to do a 5-to-1 work to come back into balance and to go towards the positive. And it is possible to do it. I mean, I am an example of that. I have been sometimes so depressed that I didn't even want to get out of bed. I just starting to feel there is no point in continuing to teach. There is no point in the destruction we're doing in the world. What are we going to give to our children? All kinds of things. So I got into a hole, and I felt so bad I didn't even want to practice anything or teach anything or whatever. And so my son came and said, Mom, what would you teach to someone who is going through this same thing? What have you told me so many times? And he, whom I thought he never had listened to anything, started, Mom, come, breathe with me, have a long exhalation. And I was just like, wow, he did listen. He does know. So how do we start to let go? Let's have a slow inhale and a long exhale through the mouth. This is a Taoist way of breathing. It's also present in yoga with a longer exhalation than the inhalation. The longer exhalation is always triggering the parasympathetic nervous system, which triggers a relaxing response. So let's now practice a little bit of this let go, let go, let go, instead of the resistance when you have these cycles of negative thoughts that trigger negative emotions, and then instead of just going through the negative emotion and then let it pass, you are again feeding into it and feeding into it, and it's becoming like a automatic cycle of repetitive negative thoughts. Where can you anchor yourself? How can you stop without denying it, without trying to repress it, without flagellating yourself for having these processes, which are totally natural? If you want to stop that rat race, one very powerful way of doing it is with the breath. So something that I want you to take from this session today, we are also going to do some movements, slow movements, but as the way of breathing, I want you to breathe this letting go of the old, taking in the new. So we are going to, again, come back into whatever it is that we want to work with. Notice the things that trigger us. And the way we usually respond or react to this particular situation. You can, if you like, bring the center of your palm, which are vortexes of energy, of healing energy, to a point here, forefinger breath up from the end of your breastbone, more or less at the height of your nipples. And when you are covering with the center of your palm, you are covering the whole area there. This point here, which comes from the traditional Chinese medicine and Qigong understandings, teaching, is called Sea of Tranquility. So we are going to put our hand there, one hand or two hands, if you like, and then remember the situation that's upsetting you. And noticing how you usually respond or react to it. And then as you exhale through the mouth, letting go of some of these usual reactions. And inviting in the antidote to whatever you're feeling. If it is anger, equanimity, peace, if it is doubt, confidence. So letting go of the old, these third, four arrows that we hit ourselves with when the challenge is in front of us. We say we exhale, we let go of those reactions, of the charge, the emotional charge of that. And we say re-inhalation, we invite what we want to see growing in us, what we want to cultivate. This is a moment of cultivating. As you inhale, invite that sense of tranquility, of peace in your life. And as you exhale again, exhale whatever is still burdening you, even in small quantities. So don't worry too much about the results, just to exhale of the old, of what's burdening you through the mouth, exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Like sighing, feeling how your chest expands. When the time comes to exhale, exhaling through your mouth. Yes. When the time comes to inhale, inhaling like sighing. inviting the new, inviting what you want to see in your life. So working with your inner space, so that your body has some experience, direct experience of releasing, letting go, and of receiving, experiencing already what you want to see in your life. Just one or two more breaths. It's like if with every exhalation, you are taking out the arrows that you have been hitting yourself with, and you are bowing to yourself, and with compassion, with friendliness, you are committing to taking care of yourself by letting go of the extra suffering that comes with the resistance and the fear, and just when the things are triggered, when the emotions are triggered, remember that the way they persist is when we have then other fears and other thoughts, especially negative thoughts, that keep feeding the emotions. If we disidentify with the thoughts about the past or about the future, there are thoughts that are coming up, and it's natural that there will be thoughts, but we don't have to believe those thoughts. We can empower ourselves by coming back to the present moment and letting everything settle down. And that's what we are going to do now with some movements from Qigong. Qigong is like the yoga from China. So similar to yoga in the sense that they both see the human being as a continuum of body, mind, and spirit. And both of them work a lot with the emotions and the thoughts through embodiment. So it's not just about understanding. Yes, it would be better if I don't get angry, or yes, I guess I could do something to come out of this lethargy or this sadness. But it's okay, but how do I do it? And both yoga and Qigong says you do it through your body, you do it through your breathings, you do it through your release points, you do it through mindful movement. In yoga, the yoga poses are designed once we arrive to them in a relaxed way and stay in them to help us relax even deeper and to balance the functioning of our endocrine glands and help us to function better emotionally and physiologically. I went to school in India. I don't have here my graduation picture, but I'll bring it this afternoon. I went to school in India that trained yoga teachers to teach yoga in India. That was in the early 70s. And I stayed there for a year, learning different kinds of practices, breathing, asanas, fasting, rituals. And one of the first things that I learned when I got to the school in India, there was the main teacher there. He asked me, why have you come and so far? And I said, well, I want to understand the scriptures, and I think that's going to be a good guidance for my life. I want to understand really better the essence of how to relate to myself and relate to others. And I for what I have practiced a bit before on yoga and all that, I want to really get to know the scriptures. And he said, okay, we'll work with that also here. But he asked me a question that totally baffled me, and he said, can you be kind when your toe hurts? And like Babaji, this other Babaji who I met in America, in Mama Donna, this other teacher Swami Digambarji in the school in India, in Lonavala, in Maharashtra, was telling me, this is an embodied process. It's not just a question of understanding something. Until you embody it, you really don't know it. And the other part of the question, can you be kind when your toe hurts? He was talking about that the process is also a process of cultivating kindness to ourselves, but also to others. So he was already pointing there that it wasn't an individual journey. It wasn't an intellectual journey, just intellectual. Even Raja Yoga also has practices. Raja Yoga being of the several forms of yoga, the one that has more to do with understanding concepts, etc. But it's all has to be an embodied process, and it also has to involve other people. And we are going to work with that this afternoon also, in the understanding that cultivating deep joy, it also involves how are we present in the world, for also in our connection with others and with nature and with everything around. So, but today in the first session, we are mainly trying to understand what are the obstacles that we are facing and how can we overcome them. Okay, so let's, now that we have been sitting for a while and talking for a while, I invite you to stand up, and we are going to do some movements. But we have among our friends today here some friends that mainly are in a wheelchair or in a chair. So let me show you the movements. The first movements I'm going to show sitting, and then we are going to do them standing, and then the second ones we are also going to do standing, but it's easier to copy once we are there. So the first ones, which are parting the clouds, we are going to bring our arms and hands forward, and we are going to bend a little bit towards our knees, and then we are going to cross the hands like this without actually touching. The arms are not touching, and they are coming up, the elbows are coming up, and they are coming up, up, up. And it's almost like if we are parting clouds above our head, and then we bring the hands and arms slowly down. And that's the parting of the clouds above the head. So we bend like to accept what life gives us, be in the present moment, and then keep rising up, letting go, letting parting of those clouds. Remember that the sun is always shining above the clouds. In fact, it's very auspicious that we are getting together today and tomorrow. The summer solstice is on Tuesday. And so all these days up to then are days of increasing light. And that's another invitation I want to give you, that let's work on these practices. And also every morning as you wake up, if you can, put yourself facing the sun and do some of these practices facing the sun. Turn towards the light. Sometimes when we are with problems, we tend to curse the problems, curse the darkness. And there is a very beautiful saying in the Jewish tradition that says, don't curse the darkness, light a candle. And I love it because it totally goes along with all these other things we are talking about. Turn towards the light. Don't keep feeding the fear, the anger, whatever. Stop that and turn towards the light, and then cultivate the light inside you, the light outside, inside, and then the delight, the joy. Right? So, okay, so let's do some of the movements now standing, and also you can do it sitting if that's where you are right now. How are we doing? Okay. We stand with the feet shoulder width apart, body straight and relaxed. And let's feel the contact of the soles of the feet with the floor. So we are raising our toes and lowering them, and again raising them and lowering them. And one more time, raising your toes, lowering them, and feeling the whole contact of the soles of the feet. Also, we are allowing ourselves to go a little bit forward and backward so that we can feel the connection of the feet with the earth, with the floor. And then we come to stand still. That allows us to be very alive in the contact of the feet with the floor. Everything starts in a way in the feet, and our awareness of our whole body, from the feet up through the legs and the abdomen, the chest, the arms, and the head. And then I'm going to invite you to visualize your head, or feel your head as a sphere that's perfectly balanced on top of the sphere of the chest. And both of those spheres are perfectly balanced on top of the sphere of your abdomen. And that there is, through the very center of these three spheres, like an unbroken column of energy that runs from your pelvic floor to the top of your head, so that you are aligned internally, and that you are relaxed, and that you have a good base through the soles of your feet, or through sitting at the chair, if that's what you are doing today. So from this position, we are going to bend a little bit forward and cross our arms, and then bring the arms up, elbows up, the hands are not touching, and then we are parting the clouds by allowing the hands to cross above the head, and then slowly arms and hands are coming down. You see, I'm going to be a little bit further back so if you can see the hands, but again, we inhale, go down, exhale, and let the arms come down as we continue to exhale. Don't worry too much about the breathing. Let the breathing be natural. You might be inhaling when your arms are up, go up, that's fine too. Exhaling as the arms come down. So just imagine that you are kind of coming into terms, receiving what life has given you, what you have been feeling, and that now you are parting those clouds, and you are allowing the sun to shine and illuminate your whole body, your whole being. Let's do it 5 times at your own pace. If you are in front of the sun in the morning, this is a beautiful practice. Even if you are not in direct contact with the sun, you can visualize yourself being bathed with the sunlight, and allowing your body to stretch, feeling the movement, not only in your arms, but your back, your front, your whole body as an organism, continuum from the feet all the way up, 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 to your hands, and parting those clouds. What happens also is that every time that you inhale and your arms go up, there is an opening of your heart, and there is an opening of some release points that are here under the armpit, which is the beginning of the heart meridian, the river of energy of the heart. So every time as you stretch, you're opening yourself up to new inspiration. And every time your arms come down, your blood pressure comes down, your body relaxes. Parting clouds. Imagine that your arms are like clouds too. So they are soft, spacious. I lost count of how many we have done, but however many you feel that are comfortable for you, this is something, this practice of parting clouds. Let's say this is the last one. We are allowing now the hands to slowly come down and be by the side of the body. This is a practice that I would like you to incorporate in your daily life. So what we have seen so far that I would like you to incorporate in your daily life is the breathing of letting go of the old as you exhale through your mouth, and taking in the new as you inhale through the nose, and repeat that 5 times, 10 times, however many times when you feel that you're being triggered and you know that the emotion doesn't need to last, that even the physiological response will stop if you don't keep feeding it. So inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, letting go of the old, inviting in the new. That's one of the practices. The other practice is this one that I would like you to also incorporate in your life as often as you can, even sometimes when you are walking around in your neighborhood, if you like, just having this. Or maybe you are in your house and you notice that there has been like a contraction, that you are tired, that you feel overwhelmed. You can even have this exhalation with sound, and you will notice that you are embodying this transformation. So it's very powerful, it's very simple. Remember it and practice it. So that's one. And then I would like to also show you a practice that also comes from Qigong, and that I particularly like, especially with reference to all that we have been discussing today. It's one of 8 movements, the 8 silken brocade. And this particular one is called Wise Owl Gets Rid of Fatigue and Ailments. And what I love of it is that to me, it's very much an embodiment of also how to get rid of fatigue and ailments and emotional heaviness by keep coming back to the present moment. So let me show you how it is. It's also extremely simple and very powerful. And remember, like Babaji says, like all the teachers say, it's a question of practice, regular practice. These are just so simple and so short that you can very easily incorporate it in your daily life whenever you want. So let me show you this one of the wise owl gets rid of tiredness and ailments. So again, we sit or stand. If we are standing, we are with the feet shoulder width apart, body straight and relaxed. We allow our body to go a little bit forward and backward to feel the support of the earth, the full contact of the feet with the earth. Raise the toes, lower the toes. Very good. Now we are going to visualize our body, our head, like a sphere, perfectly balanced on top of the sphere of the chest, both of them on top of the sphere of the abdomen, and right through the very center of it, like an unbroken column of energy that goes through the center of these 3 spheres, from the pelvic floor to the top of the head. That gives us a sense of alignment. The body straight and relaxed. For this one, we are going to inhale, bring the arms up, and we are going to turn the head to one side, let's say to the left. And let's say we're going to think that That's we are looking to the past, and then we are coming with the head to the front and exhaling, lowering the arms, allowing ourselves to rest in the present moment, to be centered in the present moment. Again, with the next inhale, arms come up, and then we look to the right. And it's almost like if we are looking at the future and all these different concerns about the future, we remember, oh, okay, the time when I can do something about is the present. Then you come back to the present and let me ground myself. Exhale as you lower the hands. Let me show you from the side. So as we inhale, the hands and arms come up, almost like if they are resting on top of a big balloon of chi. And then, so we will be first looking forward in the beginning of the inhale, and look to the side and to the back a little bit, and then bring the head forward and continue to let the hands go down and rest. And we inhale again, look to the other side. And then look to the front, to the present moment, allowing everything to settle, to rest, and for you to be grounded and relaxed. Okay, so again. And remembering, I want to come back to the center. I'm coming back to the present moment, allowing everything to be and myself to let go, to relax. From that spaciousness comes the inspiration on what to do in whatever situation you are. It's natural that the head, the thoughts will go to the past, and then you remember. And you come back to the present and let's rest. Or that you will go to the future and then bring it back to the present and rest. The present moment is the only moment we have. The succession of one present moment after the other is what forms the path in our life. So let's do 4 more of this at your own pace. Relax, enjoying it. Inhaling. Looking to one side. Bring the head to the center. Exhaling as you lower the arms. If you are looking for inspiration, you can also, as you look to the past, recognize the many teachers, teachings, blessings that you have been given, and then that have brought you to this present moment. And this is a moment where you harvest those teachings and work with it. If you look to the future and your goals, what you would like to bring into your life, let that come to the present moment and serve also as inspiration and as motivation to keep practicing. So what we are taking away is the part of suffering that has to sometimes we have when we look at the past and we get hooked on the regrets from the past, or when we look at the future, the suffering that we have of setting expectations or whatever. So we come to the present moment and we accept ourselves as we are and also relax into the present moment. And from that caring, from that space, more health can come, more healing can come, and more enjoyment of life. And in my case, with the famous book that's still in the process of being writing, still sometimes I have the trouble of thinking, well, this should already be done, or this needs to proceed faster or whatever. And then so the triggers do come up, but they don't have such a hold of making me feel bad. I keep going at the slow pace that this birth is asking for. And I hope at some point I will be able to share the creature, the little book with you. And but I'm happy, I'm happy with the whole process of however long it takes. That's what it will be. But I know that it's a moment to moment work on myself, and the moment to moment availability to myself and to others. That's what's giving me this deep joy, this meaningful purpose of sharing teachings with you, of being here with you, of going every day and turning towards the light instead of turning towards the darkness or the sadness or the confusion or the disempowerment. So we work with whatever challenges come up, and they come in different sizes at different moments in our life. And the invitation in this session, this first session of Rediscovering Joy, is remember what you want to grow in your life as an experience. So notice what is being triggered and what is that you're feeding, and then choose what to embody and what to support through the embodiment of these practices. So I'm going to sit now for a moment with you and see how are we doing and what are some of the questions that you might have. And remember, the crucial thing in all this is to be kind to yourself and keep practicing. So as you practice, you will develop more inner resources, and you will also understand better how to keep supporting yourself. And it's a question of practice. Like if you are learning to play violin, or if you are trying to develop some muscle, or if you want to flow with a dance or whatever, when you begin, sometimes you feel, I don't know, this seems, I don't know if I'm doing it right, or I don't know if I'm flowing, whatever. Just keep doing it. By doing it, you will develop a greater understanding, and you will also start after a while noticing some little results, which then will take you to other results, and your body will remember. So it's a labor of love.